Hey, Paul, how are you?
Man, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
Very good. Like we said before this, feeling very blessed. It's been a good week so far.
It's always a blessing to wake up and get to go see Man City play Juventus.
I know we talked about that right away. It's like my co-host over there is not too happy with that shirt you're wearing, I would say.
He's not. He's not. Love you, Chris.
Yeah, tell me a little bit because I know I don't follow as much of the like those leagues, like the English leagues. Why are they playing in Orlando?
It's kind of a tour that they're doing. I attribute it to Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney when they bought Wrexham and started the Netflix show. It became more popular, and so they were coming to Orlando, and I said I have to go. So my wife got tickets for Father's Day, and so I'm looking forward to it. Normally you'd find me in a rowback, but for one day I can dress like this.
Yeah. No, I know I always said because my friends and I played soccer my entire life. I've played for I don't even know, since I was 3 years old up until I was 20. So like 17 years I was playing, and nobody really cared to follow it. But it seemed like in these last couple of years, when Messi came to the U.S., all of a sudden people in the U.S. wanted to watch soccer,
Yep.
so they
You know,
followed all the Florida games.
it's interesting because when I was 16, I played club soccer growing up. So when I was, well, about to be 16, we traveled to Europe and played in two tournaments. And first thing we heard was Americans can't play football. And, since I was a kid, I've been hearing soccer's a next big thing. It's going to become big. And it literally took Netflix to kind of make it a big thing now. So, which is kind of cool. I was watching the U.S. national team the other day play, and they're playing in the Gold Cup. And my wife goes, "Why is Saudi Arabia playing in it?" And I was like, "I don't know, because it's usually the Americas that play in it." Well, it turns out they invite a guest team every year, and I didn't know that. So it's pretty interesting.
For being such a global sport, it's always weird to me that America didn't pick it up heavier. And that's why that stereotype did exist. I mean, when I played, it was the same thing. Like you talked with people, I played with a guy who was from Colombia. I played with a guy who was from Nigeria, from France. And they always come in and they're like assuming they're going to be better than everybody. And they were too. It's
Yeah,
not
I'll
always
tell you.
wrong. It's just a funny perception.
A funny story was when we went to Europe, we're 15-year-old kids. We don't know anything. And we end up getting the semifinals in the first tournament. And we had little kids coming up asking for our autographs because over there, if somebody's kicking butt, they're probably going to, at least one or two of the guys are going to go professional. They didn't know that we were Americans and we had a dead end. We didn't have anything to do after that. But it was cool being 15 and have little 9-year-old boys and girls come up to you and ask for your autograph.
What country was that in that you were playing the tournament?
We did it in Copenhagen, Denmark. We did the Dana Cup, and then we did the Gothia Cup in Gothenburg, Sweden.
That's awesome. What position did you play?
I was stopper.
Okay. What stopper? I played my whole life. What position is that?
Okay, so you got your three backs.
Yeah.
You got your center back, which is basically your stopper, and then you have the sweeper that's right behind him.
Got it. It's so
So
interesting because when I grew up, I was like 6 years old and my older sister played. They called someone a sweeper, and I never heard it again for the rest of my life. So I don't use stopper and sweeper. We were using, CDM, cam, defensive mid,
yep.
center back, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just generational. Y'all just
That's funny.
messed it up for us.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No, I was a center back, so that's probably a pretty similar one. You're just up a little bit more than
Yeah. Yeah. I was taller than everybody.
yeah.
So for throw ins, I could throw in, and for corner kicks, I could head. So
Yeah, that's the way to do
they
it.
would send me up for those. And it was, best shape of my life. I loved
Yeah,
it.
playing soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're running so much that, like, yeah, I don't think I'll get back into the cardio shape I was in playing competitive soccer
Oh,
ever.
no way. No way. No way. Most running I do now is to the fridge.
That's funny. Well, hey, I want to pivot real quick. I know we talked about this a little bit too. I saw on your page this random acts of kindness thing that you like to do, and I know it probably is a thing that you're actually doing literally, but I'd love to get your opinion on what it really means to try to go out of your way to be kind, and then actually what that is that you're doing with that.
So my goal every day is to make somebody smile, to make an impact on somebody, whether it's the person at the McDonald's drive-through when I leave, say, be blessed, or if it's one of my kids. And so when I got on LinkedIn, I've always been a giving person. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to start making people smile. And so it started with a t-shirt to a girl named Ashley, actually two t-shirts. She's a yoga fan. And so I knew that. And so I went in and found a yoga pirate shirt, sent it to her and sent another yoga shirt. And from that, I've done about 45 shirts now. Chris is actually going to unveil one pretty soon. But what I try to do is bring some humor into it. And I get to know them a little bit. And so I find something funny about them. 9 times out of 10, I go with my gut and they're like, "Oh my God, how did you know?" And it's just, the way God has programmed me to give and make people smile. And I tell people, 20 bucks a t-shirt to make somebody smile, I'll do that all the time.
Yeah. No, I was gonna ask like where that comes from. And I know you said like that God's kind of wired us that way to be kind and go out of our way to give and be kind to other people. Was there a time where you felt like there was a stronger pivot in your life where you wanted to really lean more into that kindness, or has that been kind of always something that you've tried to carry forward?
I'd have to say I tell people I was adopted. So I had two moms. I had one that loved me enough to carry me and one that made me the man I am today. And my mom was the kindest person in the world. She was 72 years old and she would walk around the neighborhood and pick up trash. And she was always giving. I was a baby of 7. And so she already had a bunch of kids, but she still fostered kids. And she taught me that kindness growing up. And she gave me that formation of going to Catholic school. And I tell people, I talked to his father the other day, and I could tell he was weighing down on him because his kids are 13 and 14, and they're not going to church. And I told him, I said, give it to God. You made it the rock. You've given them the formation. Let them do what they have to do. They're always going to come back to God. And I truly believe that.
Yeah, no, I believe that too. I think I saw one of your other posts. It was like the faith is not about being strong. It's about learning how to be held and then holding for others. I think to relay that to kindness, I think it's the exact same thing. Like to be kind is to allow yourself to feel that kindness and then spread it to other people. And I think that's really important is you can't rely on someone to, if you're kind to them, it's not because you want to receive the kindness back. You're just planting that seed of kindness and generosity in them. And then really that's a thing from God. And we're hoping that that gets multiplied and that they go out and do it for somebody else.
Yeah, it's like I always say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you change the world? One person at a time.
Yeah, no, I like that. How important do you think it is for people to have good role models in their life of whether it's for kindness or whether it's for, just anything else? Like how important do you think that is?
That's a great question because I was in a unique situation. My mom adopted me single in 71, so I didn't have a father figure. So growing up, I had a brother who was 7 years older than me. When I was 14 in 1985, he died in a motorcycle wreck. He was my hero. And so for me, I was kind of lost. And I looked towards other men to be mentors, to be guiding me because I think it's very valuable for people to have somebody to be their true North Star. And sometimes the North Star is not a good North Star. But my journey and everything I've done, I tell people I have 999 reasons why I shouldn't be here today. But God has put me here today to spread kindness, to make an impact with people, and to share his word. And I truly believe that.
Amen, brother. No, that's great. I think that's a really powerful statement of that's why you're still here kind of sharing a story like that. And I think kind of to stay on the role model thing, a lot of people find that you can find a good role model in church, or you can find a good role model in like your community or in the people that you work with. Why do you think it's so important? I guess we can like narrow down the frame because it's like two men talking. Why do you think it's really important for men to have a role model in their life specifically?
So we're taught as men to brush it off, don't show emotion, be tough. The reality is, if we're going to be the leader of our house, if we're going to be in charge of faith, formation, raising our kids, teaching our kids to be men, if we have all these things on us, we've got to have somewhere to unpack it. Because if you're not unpacking it, it's going to come out. And it may come out on your wife. It may come out on a random person that's driving on the highway that didn't put their blinker on. So it's important for us to unpack. And when you have those role models, those mentors, it's your unpacking. I mean, it's your unpacking of everything. I was always attracted to men who are about my dad's age, my birth dad's age. And I never realized it till I found my birth family that that's why I was attracted, because I never had that father, true father figure. And so when I was in Texas, I have a gentleman named Pops. He's 79 years old, and I met him at church. And God said, ask him to go to breakfast. So we went to breakfast, and we sat there at 7 o'clock in the morning. I became that old man drinking coffee, and we talked for 4 hours. And from there, it just spiraled into a new realm because we started doing it over and over. COVID hit. After COVID, we had done a Bible study online. And so we had more guys joining us. We had 13 to 15 guys join us every Saturday at 7 o'clock. And we called it the Lord's Breakfast Club. We wouldn't bring out a Bible, but at the end of every one, I would ask the guys, where are you spiritually, physically, and mentally? And I'll tell you, every week I had at least one guy crying. And it's powerful when you can put people, when you put men especially in that safe zone where they're not afraid to share. It helps. It truly does.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that question you just asked, you could like there's probably guys who've never heard that in their entire life. Like someone who that you know you can trust to care about what you're actually going to say when you ask that, like and they feel secure in answering that question. Like that's powerful stuff. Like I went on a trip with my church. It was called our Hearing God retreat. The idea was really just let's make a space for really just getting deep with God and like deep spirituality wise. And I hadn't really engaged in that in a community setting, but finding that space where you can explore those different types of things, you end up talking about stuff. Like, you're not just sitting there only doing Bible study, right? Like you end up talking about life because that is what all of it boils down to is what is God moving in your life and where are things actually happening and talking through it with everybody. The really interesting perspective I got is it didn't always have to be a father figure that I was kind of looking up to. Sometimes it was just other men who were having a similar experience to me, even if they're the exact same age as me or even a couple years older. So instead of it being an actual mentor I needed to follow, it's like, wow, these other guys who I have a lot of respect for as just normal friends and normal guys have this next layer of depth to them that I didn't know. And being able to experience that together, I think is what creates really powerful friendships and also just really powerful for yourself. It wants to make you drive in that better direction so you guys can all be strong like for each other. And I just find so much power in that level of community.
The old saying used to be, show me a man's friends and I'll show you the man. And I heard that all growing up. But as I get older, I see exactly what that means is when you surround yourself with faith-centered, successful people, you rise to the level. And it's challenging to you as a man when you see your brother in Christ or your friend that's doing really awesome things and you're going, I want to be there, but you're supporting him and not envious of him. And that's where some humility on your side as a man needs to be, is to be able to support and encourage others to bring them to the top, because ultimately it's going to bring you to the top.
Yeah, I think when it's not centered in ourselves and not centered in our own version of ego or our own version of pride, it makes that a lot easier to do. Because if the conversation is, let's just use like a really basic example, like he's struggling with money, let's just say, but he makes 5 times what you make. You have to sit there and it's not a, well, you make more than me, so like I need to somehow argue with you and have this pride battle or this ego battle. It's how can I genuinely be empathetic to my brother who's talking to me here, and how can we pull it outside of our own selves? And really, it's more through an angle of like, let's bring everyone closer together and let's actually solve this problem. And what I find is when I'm doing that and it's a more God-centered conversation, everybody's more capable of that because we
Yep.
all understand that that's the goal that we're trying to get to is really not to ever step on each other,
Yep.
but try to really create solutions for each other. Like I think that's really important. And like how would you say, I guess I want to pivot just a little bit. You said you have kids, right?
Yes.
How would you say that type of mentality of like growing for yourself and kind of like being that hero and that leader of your family, how did that change when you had kids?
So, it's interesting. I just had this discussion yesterday with a gentleman. So I would pray over my boys and I would pray over them to become world changers. And my oldest, he was my, let's say, hold my beer, dad. Let me show you. Because I always told him growing up, anything you can do, I promise you I did better. Well, he kind of outdid me. I'm very open about it. He's about to be 27. He was born the day I buried my mom, and he's on the run from the law right now. And he's got 5 felonies, 2 misdemeanors. But I prayed over him, and I still do. I still have hope and I'm open about it. And one of my posts that I did about him, I didn't want to hit send on it. I didn't want to hit enter because I was exposing a lot of vulnerable parts about me. And I had more responses. I think I had almost 8,000 reactions. And I was had so many parents reaching out to me saying, thanks for sharing that. My son is involved in addiction. And so my other son, he's my gentle giant. He's 17. He's 6'3", 240, size 14 shoes. And I always wanted him to be my football player. And he's just a gentle giant. He's not going to be my football player. But so when I say I prayed over them be world changers, some people say Jake, my oldest, is not really a world changer. And some people might say Madden, who's my quiet guy, may not be a world changer. But a buddy of mine told me, he goes, you can't look at it that way. He goes, all your prayers over your kids turned around into you, which was powerful because if you think about it, when we pray over somebody, we're receiving the blessings from it sometimes. And so that was a powerful moment for me. And it really gave me a new perspective over praying over people
Yeah. What made you want the prayer over your kids to be world changers?
because that's my goal in life is to change the world. So many people say, man, that's pretty lofty goal. And to everybody, changing the world looks different. To me, changing the world is one person at a time. You look at Christianity, and I actually have a tattoo on my back that is the Jerusalem cross. And you look there, it started with 12 disciples, and they went east, north, west, and south. And look at Christianity now. It's the only thing that's been around for 2,000 years. And it took 12 men getting together, following one man who was God's son, and he sacrificed everything for us. And these 12 guys told 12 guys, they told 12 guys, they told 12 women, and it just snowballed. And it's a beautiful thing to actually think about that when you can break it down to just 12 guys.
Yeah. And like that one person at a time thing is so powerful. Like, even if we bring it back to something like kindness or even just like little simple things, when you give that to somebody else, it's not that you're doing it selfishly so you can feel it back, but you do feel it back. Like the days where, at least I'll speak from personal experience, the days you go out of your way to give a moment of kindness or to give someone a hug who you know, or to call somebody or to pray over somebody, those days feel like better days for me. And I've always said, like, I had a person in my life, they told me, anytime that you feel like you're having a bad day, go make somebody else's day better, and you'll see that come back around. And I think it's so important where it's really what I said. You're not doing that for the selfish nature of, I want to feel good, but you know that it's going to be a mutual benefit. I feel like that's so powerful.
Yeah. I tell people, so I'm in sales. And salespeople kind of get a bad rap because we all think used car sales guys. No offense to anybody out there, but what I tell people is as long as I do right by God, God continues to drop blessings in my life. And
Yeah.
it's he's never failed me yet. And I tell people that it just magically a deal will appear. And it'll be from somebody that I met that maybe I blessed and I didn't even know it. And I tell people I would rather leave my kids a legacy than $1 million because they can blow through the $1 million. The legacy will last forever.
Yeah. And that's a good point too, is like when it, because I'm in sales too. Like, so there's a lot of things you can't control at all. And when you really think, like, that extrapolates out to most of the things in your life. You can't actually control it. And the times in my life where I felt the most stressed or the most, in disarray was the time I tried to take active control of everything. And what it felt like the more powerful move was let me relinquish the control to God on the things that I know for sure are uncontrollable. But what I started praying more recently was, it wasn't like, God, take my problems away. It was like, guide my hands to solve the right problems. And it started to really feel like I was getting pushed in the right direction. So I wasn't getting the stress taken away, but I was able to handle it better. And I feel like that's way more powerful than the people. I hate to make this comparison of the people who like pray as if God's a genie, or they're praying for things. I think it's more important to really try to angle your life with God around, how can I get power from you to come in and do the things that I need to do. And I think that's a really powerful frame. What do you think?
Well, and if you think about it, think about sales. What is the number one thing we need in sales from our prospect or our client is trust, right? what's the number one thing we need to do as a human being with God is to
Have
trust.
faith. Just trust.
And I always tell people faith is an action word. And like the book of James, that's my jam. I call it the Nike of the Bible because it's basically just do it. And it's all about how to live faith by action. And so talking on your point about trust and giving it to God and asking for guidance, my wife is a woman and they worry. And so what we were told a long time ago is we grew up Catholic, and so we were told give it away, put it in a God box. And some people might burn it, but she writes notes and she'll put it in a little God box. And once you hand that over to God, God's going to take it from there. But you have to have that trust. And that's where the human conflict comes in.
It's like having the trust while taking the actions. Like I love that you said faith is an action word. It's not, give it all to him and then lay in bed and hide under the blanket and hope things happen. It's like even if we were to talk about like sales again, it wouldn't just be, like God, this morning I pray that my deal closes. Like it's not as simple as that. It's more, what can I put in this box to free up my energy and my spirit to take the faith actions that I actually need to take? Like I could talk about that for hours. Like the idea of bearing your cross in religious or non-religious sense, even if someone isn't religious, that is a thing you can live by.
Mhm.
Is you need to bear the burden of responsibility to be a better version of yourself, whether that's for you or for your family or for your kids or for your career, to put across the best version of yourself. And I think it is actually our responsibility to do that, not just because we want to like please God. I think that is genuinely what we were made to do.
It is. And somebody posed a question the other day is what does success look like to you? And to everybody, that's a different question. To some people, it might be money, but to others, it might be, you know what? I'm going to give everything I can to somebody else, and I'm going to make everybody else feel great about themselves. That's what success looks like to me. I tell people we live a comfortable life, but success to me is when I realize or not even realize, but I know that somehow I made somebody smile. And impact is something that you may never know, but what you find out is it's how people talk about you when you're not in the room. And that's something that drives me is I want people to understand that I don't do this for me. I do it for God.
Yeah. And I think almost like come full circle on some of the things we talked about, like having role models, leadership, what it means to, bear the burden of the responsibility that you have to, be a man of God and work in his, like through his word to try to empower other people, being kind to other people directly or being a role model. So I love how all these things work together where like from the thing you just said of like leaving an impact. I think that can really just be done in a couple ways. And it's the actual actions we take with other people to make positive impact. But I do really think it is also living and leading a good life through God that is going to shine out as like an example. I always have heard you never know who looks up to you. So it's always good to have that example. That way you are making an impact, even if it's not someone that you're directly talking to or impacting directly.
It's so true. And once again, men need that impact. And I specifically I try to focus on men because 999 reasons why I shouldn't be here. And for example, I talked to Warren yesterday with Dad Good,
He's
and
the best.
he's awesome. He's awesome. And we were talking back and forth. And I told him, I said, the thing you're doing right now isn't just for the dads today. You have the ability to lead a generational legacy for children, for sons who are growing up. I know Charles grew up with his father not really in his life. And so that would be kind of similar to me, but you want to flip that script and you want to leave that generational legacy and know that your children's grandchildren are still going to be talking about something like Dad Good.
Yeah, no, that's great. And yeah, talking with them is so good. We're trying to like do some collaboration stuff with Dad Good, just like sit down, do a big round table. Like those guys are all so awesome.
They are.
We're so excited to do that. But I know just kind of the last thing I want to just give you kind of the floor for like a minute. I like to ask pretty much everybody this. It's like if you could narrow down like a mantra or a phrase that you're either trying to live by or you're trying to teach and relay to your kids by, what is that for you right now?
Be the change. And the be the change for me is this whole conversation wrapped into one. is the things that we can do to make people's life better. We never know what people are walking through. We never know what they're dealing with. And so when you lead with empathy and kindness, you can be the change. So that's my mantra.
Be the change. I love it. No, that's great. Well, Paul, this has been such an amazing conversation. It felt so genuine and authentic. Like I'm so glad we were able to kind of just take where the conversation led us and talk about these things. I love talking about just leading your life in all the things that we talked about. So, like truly, I appreciate you hopping on here and having this conversation with me today. Of
I appreciate you having me today. Thanks a lot.
course. Thank you very much. Have a good one.